It was called the Iron Dam, a wall built to hold back a 1,000-year flood. One night in 1975, a storm proved that name terribly wrong. This is Henan province in central China, where the Ru River winds through a wide and crowded plain. In the early 1950s, after years of devastating floods, the government built a string of dams here to tame the water. Banqiao was the centerpiece, a great earthen dam with a core of clay wrapped in a shell of sand, holding a vast reservoir behind it. It was built to survive a 1-in-1,000-year flood. People were so confident in it, they nicknamed it the Iron Dam. But there was a flaw built into it from the start. The dam had only a handful of sluice gates, far too few to drain the reservoir quickly. A hydrologist named Chen Xing saw the danger and warned that it needed more outlets. His warnings were dismissed. The whole design leaned one way. It was built to store water, not to release it, and that imbalance would prove fatal. In August 1975, a threat formed out at sea, Typhoon Nina, churning toward the coast of China. Nina made landfall and should have weakened. Instead, it stalled, pinned over Henan when it collided with a cold front. And then it rained like almost nowhere on Earth ever had. Over 1,000 millimeters in a single day, more than a year's worth of water. This was a 1-in-2,000-year flood, twice the worst event the dam had ever been built to survive. And in the storm, the phone and telegraph lines went down, crippling any chance of a coordinated warning or response. At the dam, crews fought to open the gates, but they were partly clogged with sediment and far too small. The water rushed in faster than it could ever flow out. The reservoir filled to the brim, and then the unthinkable. Water began to spill over the very top of the dam. For an earthen dam, that's a death sentence. Water flowing over the crest claws at the back face, eating the structure away from the outside. Just after 1 a.m. on August 8th, the erosion became a breach. The dam tore open. Around 700 million cubic meters of water emptied out in just 6 hours through a gap 300 meters wide. What raced downstream was no longer a flood. It was a wall of water, kilometers wide and meters high, moving at the speed of a car. And here's the cruelest part. As that wave hit the dams below, they burst too, one after another like dominoes. In all, 62 dams failed that night. Whole villages were swept off the map, families taken as they slept, the flood spreading across the plain in the dark. Tens of thousands of people drowned in those first hours alone. But the water was only the beginning. Millions were left stranded, cut off on high ground with no food and no clean water. In the summer heat, famine and disease swept through the survivors, killing an estimated 145,000 more. The true toll may never be known. 26,000 drowned that night, and by some estimates, up to 240,000 died in all. In the aftermath, Chen Xing, the man whose warnings had been ignored, was brought back to help clear the rivers and rebuild. And the lesson was carved in water. A dam must be able to drain just as well as it can hold. The disaster reshaped how engineers think about extreme floods, planning not just for the expected, but for the catastrophe beyond the design limit. Because in the end, the Iron Dam didn't fail for lack of strength. It failed because it had no way to let go.